Berta is our Victorian painter. To our surprise, we were ushered into a room where the first object that met the eye was a painter's easel, and leaning against the wall were a few finished paintings, mostly of landscapes and figures. "I make you welcome to my studio," said Mrs. Graham. So reads Chapter 5 of Anne Bronte's Victorian novel, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, published in 1848. Though women were discouraged from pursuing a painting career, Victorian ladies were nonetheless an important part of the Victorian art world, not just as artists, but also as models and patrons. Berta is wearing a polonaise day dress sewn in a colorful floral cotton which mirrors the vibrant hues of the painting in a summer garden, as seen in Berta's inspiration collage up here. So that's the first one. Berta's polonaise is closed in the front with enameled buttons, and there are 2 buttons at the waist in back. The polonaise was very popular in the early 1870s and was made of richer fabrics for evening wear. The bell-shaped sleeves are 3/4 length and have no trim that could spoil the wet paint, being deftly placed on the canvas. The bottom edge is trimmed in brown ruffled organza. There are hidden ties in the back of the polonaise. Show your back side. And that makes the poof or the bustle effect. Under the polonaise is a dark brown flounced skirt that is trimmed with double ruffled white organza, similar to the large white frilly ruffles that stand out against the vibrant pink dress in Mary Cassatt's The Cup of Tea, shown in the inspiration collage. Mary Cassatt, thank you, studied at the Louvre, and in 1877 joined a group of independent artists that included Edgar Degas. Berta is also wearing a cotton flounced petticoat that has the same brown ruffled organza trim as the polonaise. The petticoat has extra fullness in the back to fit over a bustle. To keep the 15 yards of fabric in the polonaise and petticoat afloat, so to speak, and the 15 or so yards of organza trim, Berta is wearing a wired bustle petticoat made of cool cotton. It has 4 metal hoop bones built into the back. This amazing design supports all the layers and is very wearable. You can actually sit down. Berta's hair is unadorned, as it would be as if she were painting in her studio. Unlike the 3 ladies depicted in Varnishing Day at the Royal Academy, who are wearing hats as they happily apply protective varnish to freshly painted canvases. Even though the odds and most Victorian men were against them, Victorian ladies somehow found the time and the courage to paint. Whether the subject is a working-class lady in blue, as seen in The Milliner here, or a young girl with a cage sitting in a bright red-orange blouse and a swirling background reminiscent of Van Gogh. I encourage you to explore this rich artistic history left to us by many remarkable Victorian ladies, and Edwardian ones too, including Beatrix Potter, who illustrated her children's books. Thank you. Here's Jody in an Edwardian tea gown. Afternoon tea was created by Anna, the 7th Duchess of Bedford, in the year 1840 as a way to quell hunger pangs between lunch and dinner. This ritual became so popular in the upper classes that it became one of the mainstays of the era. Jody is serving tea to her guests today. For this indoor leisure event, she wears a high-collared Edwardian shirtwaist with pin tucks on the upper bodice and Lego mutton sleeves. Her purple gored walking skirt is trimmed with black gimp and frogs and has a slight train at the back. A lace cap was commonly worn indoors by Edwardian ladies of a certain age, and she keeps her fan fastened at her waist in case her internal temperature should rise while she fills her guests' teacups. Jody's jewelry is simple: a cameo at her neck, matching earrings, and a magnifier on a chain. You must pardon her now as she needs to go to the kitchen and make sure the servants are on their way with finger sandwiches and tea cakes. Tea was initially served between 3 and 4 and taken in the garden, parlor, or dining room. The household's best china and linens were used, And the menu consisted of tea sandwiches, cakes, scones, cookies, and pastries, and of course, Devonshire cream. As the tea tradition expanded from high society to working class, high tea was developed. This was a combination of afternoon tea and dinner. The name comes from the fact that tea was taken at the high time of day between 4 and 5, and it was enjoyed from high stools in a tea shop or standing in a corner stall, a buffet table, or a counter. Next, we have Eva in her beautiful Regency book reading gown. During the Regency period, the novel was popular and a reading a favorite pastime. These novels had a highly developed sense of social standing between the character, emphasis on manners and class issues, and the emergence of modern social thought. Authors of this period included Sir Walter Scott, Susan Ferrer, Maria Edgeworth, and the best-known author from this period, Jane Austen. And while novelists, the poetry of writers such as Lord Byron, William Blake, William Wordsworth, and Shelley are worth mentioning, as most of their best-known works were also written during the Regency. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was published in 1818, also falling within the Regency era. Some consider it to be the single piece of British literature that best reflects the interests and concerns of the time. Our model, Eva, is wearing a day dress of the period. It is a Regency-style cotton day dress with a delicate striped pattern on it, and it adds to the summer relaxed feel of the outfit. The dress is a commissioned work, and as requested, does not feature the usual puff sleeve as it was thought to be too youthful. The front of the dress is wrapped for a flat silhouette in order to avoid that baby bump look of the highly gathered waist. Eva accessorizes the outfit with colorful shoes and a lacy cap. Many of these classic Regency writers are also associated with Romanticism, which is an artistic and intellectual movement that originated in Western Europe in the late 18th century. A marriage based on love was rarely an option for most women in the British Regency, as securing a steady and sufficient income was the first consideration for both the woman and her family. This is most likely why this period yielded so many examples of literary romance. It gave many women the opportunity to live vicariously through the novel's heroine, who generally married someone she loved deeply. Thank you, Eva. Next, we have Miss Sensibility Bustle in her Victorian skating outfit. In the Netherlands, ice skating was considered proper for all classes of people. When James II of England was in the Netherlands in exile, he fell for the sport. When he returned to England, the new sport was introduced, and soon people from all walks of life were enjoying ice skating. It is said that Queen Victoria got to know her future husband, Prince Albert, better through a series of ice skating trips. King Louis of France brought ice skating to Paris during his reign, and Madame de Pompadour, Napoleons I and II, and the House of Stuart were fans of ice skating. It's 1875, and Miss Sensibility Bustle is having a great time on the ice in Paris. As winter takes over from summer, you can skate uphill. Skating would often take the place of strolling in the park. A bit of fresh air, exercise, and gossip. One has to take care not to get overheated so as to avoid cooling off too fast and catching a chill. If there is a wind, a veil is recommended to avoid pneumonia. At the longest, it is best to skate no longer than 1 hour, and the same exercise can be had without the same risks by using skates with rollers attached on floors instead of ice. But oh, the joys of being out of doors in winter. This dress is based on an actual photograph taken in Paris, and the original was also plaid. The trim and roses are silk. It has 2 front aprons and a large train. It is a bit fancy for ice skating, but Sensibility does not listen to her mama and will wear what she will. She has, however, taken the precaution of wearing her woolens. To her toilette, she has also added gloves, a warm hat, and muff. Did everybody see her shoes? Yes. Thank you, Sensibility. Here's a treat. April Drummond and daughter Phoebe Drummond wearing Victorian promenade gowns. Promenading gave the opportunity for gentlemen and ladies of the time to demonstrate their knowledge and mastery of Victorian etiquette. An established tradition for nobility, these public walks were meant to allow people to meet or simply be seen. Familiar settings included gardens and the seaside. Respectable women would avoid walking about the city as it was considered unsafe, coarse, and filthy. Promenades were often on seafronts and allow walking whatever the state of the tide without having to walk on the beach. They became popular in Victorian times when it was fashionable to visit seaside resorts. April is wearing an early 1870s walking or promenade dress made of white cotton lawn with a delightful blue floral print. The bodice is flat-lined with soft blue linen and is fully boned. The bodice features a flared peplum to accent the bustle. The skirt and overskirt are gathered at the waistline and sides. A flounce trim with lace and ribbons set off the bottom of the skirt. The sleeves have flounces that drop just below the elbow and are trimmed with lace and ribbon. The skirt is worn over a ruffled petticoat of blue and white linen. This dress took more than 3 months to complete, as all the hems and trims were hand-sewn. The outfit is accessorized with a beautiful straw hat with flowers, ribbons, and bows, and is also completely handmade by April. To top it off, a parasol. Don't be caught in the sun without one. Phoebe is wearing a gorgeous polonaise, lovingly sewn by her mother. It is made of a very lightweight cotton with pretty purple and yellow flowers, flat-lined with green cotton, and it's lightly boned. The dress is decorated with green ruching and gathers, plum ribbon, green bows, and delicate crystal pleated organza. Accented with playful green buttons, it features a back and full-length pleated bill sleeves. The skirt is made of cotton and features a ruffled flounce trimmed with the same plum ribbon. Underneath, a matching green petticoat and lobster tail bustle. Accessories include an adorable hat with ruffles, ribbons, flowers, and of course, a matching parasol. These dresses would be appropriate for summer or seaside promenades. Here's some proper walking etiquette for you. The following is said to be a correct posture for walking. Head erect, not too rigid, chin in, shoulders back. Permit no unnecessary motion about the thighs. Do not lean over to one side in walking, standing, or sitting. The practice is not only ungraceful, but it is deforming and therefore unhealthy. If the hands are allowed to swing in walking, the arc should be limited and the lady will manage them much more gracefully if they almost touch the clothing. Thank you, April. Thank you, Phoebe.